going on, everybody? The recent debacle that was Team USA at the FIBA World Cup has highlighted some glaring deficiencies in terms of both American basketball and the NBA game. And you know who called it years ago? The late, great Kobe Bryant. He was asked, I think this was back in, I don't know, it was a few, I think it was 2015. He said, when asked about American basketball, he said, I think European players are just way more skillful. They are just taught the game the right way at an early age. They're more skillful. It's something that we really have to fix. We really have to address that. We have to teach our kids to play the right way. And as you know, Kobe was very critical of the current state of the AAU system in basketball, which in a lot of ways contributes to the on-court product we see oftentimes, even at the NCAA to an extent, but particularly at the NBA level. And here's what he said about that. AAU basketball, horrible, terrible. AAU basketball, it's stupid. It doesn't teach our kids to play the game at all, so you wind up having players that are big and they bring it up and they do all this fancy crap and they don't know how to post. They don't know the fundamentals of the game. It's stupid. He goes on to say, because, he grew up in Italy. So here's what he said. Had he played and come through the system domestically, I probably wouldn't be able to dribble with my left and shoot with my left and have good footwork, Bryant said. I was kind of fortunate because when I was growing up in Italy, the Red Auerbachs, the Tex Winners, all of those great coaches were doing clinics and camps in Europe. They were teaching all of the club coaches, and the club coaches were following their advice and their fundamentals like the Bible. And they were teaching all of us kids that type of stuff. Me, Manu, Ginobili, and all those guys that grew up around the same time were a product of that. It's a big difference. He goes on to say, in terms of what does he feel is one of the solutions to address this issue as he sees it, teach the players the game at an early age and stop treating them like cash cows for everyone to profit off of. That's how you do it. You have to teach them the game. Give them instruction, I should say. And quite honestly, once again, we saw that this past week with FIBA. We saw, the skill of the European players, the fundamentals that are sorely lacking here. Big men that play like big men, more or less. And we suffered the consequences of it. And this is not a case of, an older guy just crapping on the new kids on the block and sitting on the porch yelling at clouds and telling you to get off our lawn. There's a problem with American basketball. Kobe saw it years ago. Other people have expressed concern about the state of the game, and it's one of the reasons you have so many people complaining about what they see in terms of the NBA. I get it, and sports in general are a copycat league, but you know why everybody can't play like the Golden State Warriors? Is because everyone doesn't have a Stephen Curry, a Klay Thompson. And see, the issue is, never mind the whole changing of the rules to totally overly empower offense, but what happens is those guys, they're the exception and not the rules. And so all these teams, they are trying to cater their programs to the exception and not the rules, and not necessarily what their talent or their guys may be the best at. every offensive issue people think is just solved by jacking up more threes. And that is certainly not the case. Teams nowadays, there's no stylistic difference. It's just pick and roll, shoot threes. And not everyone is meant to do that. To use a baseball term, there's fewer five-tool players, the players that can score at multiple levels. It's either layups or threes. Analytics have hurt the game. It's told people that basketball is a sport in which height matters, in which taking your biggest players, which is their height and their biggest advantage, and nullifying that by pulling them the furthest away from the basket and telling them to shoot threes like they're a guard, which makes no sense. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing. It's helped close that gap, because instead of, like Kobe was saying, teaching the game and teaching the fundamentals, you're just teaching a select, specialized group of skills, and not even fundamental skills, but all it is shooting threes and screen and roll. And there's so much more to the game than that. American big men don't know how to be big men anymore. And the ones that do, they're just relegated to glorified ball boys, because they either don't want to or don't have the ability to step out and shoot pretty jumpers. And just like Kobe said, it's something that it's got to change from the ground up. That the game in its totality has to be taught again, instead of just trying to breed just shooters and not basketball players. And that's the main difference. Over there, they're building basketball players, and we're building athletic players that want to shoot. Doesn't matter if they can shoot, and by shooting I mean threes, because analytics has told you that mid-range jumpers, that's bad basketball. Post-up is bad basketball. You shoot threes more because you get more points. Never mind it's a further and less efficient shot, but that one extra point means so much, analytically speaking. So honestly, until we fix this, American basketball will continue to be in the state that it's in. Granted, what still saves us is that our top end talent is still better than most globally, but even that is starting to change. That is a shift you're seeing with the Giannis's, the Jokic's, the Lucas of the world, as they're starting to ascend to the top of the NBA mountain. So unless we fundamentally change the way that the game is being taught, we are, whether we want to admit it or not, we are helping the rest of the world to close the gap. So to that end, Kobe was right. He continues to be right. And unless we address this issue in the not too distant future, we may be looking up at other countries in terms of basketball supremacy, as the U.S. may find themselves getting passed by. So, what do you think about the comments of Kobe? What do you think about my take? What's your take on the state of American basketball, both domestically and then globally? Let us know what you think in the comment section. We'll be back with more sports news. Be sure to check us out daily. Tell the people that you love them.